Hello and welcome to the After Credits podcast. This is not our weekly scheduled episode. This is a specific episode that you've clicked on because it says Borderlands. And I'm not a Borderlands expert and I haven't seen the film, so this episode's going to have to be turned over to Brandon and our drum roll, our special guest, our first special guest, Jay. There you go. Thanks for the applause, guys.
Well done.
There you go. Right, Jay is a registered Borderlands expert. And yeah, I'm sure he'll be nice and kind to this film. So why don't you just start off and give us your very general points?
I guess I'll begin. So, going in, I didn't really know much because all I've played was the Telltale version of Borderlands, and I don't know how accurate that even is to the main franchise. So I kind of went in with knowing bare bones. Like I knew of like little Tiny Tina and stuff like that, but for the most part didn't know much. But I heard going in it's kind of bad, and then as soon as it started, I was like, yeah, this ain't good. This ain't good. Even Jay, you were saying to me right before, you were saying every game starts with this like monologue or something about
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah, so Marcus, he was the bus driver, and
Right.
also the gun salesman, which was actually very accurate. I found his character to be very accurate, but again, he's a side character, so it doesn't really matter much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, Marcus always starts off the games by saying, "So you want to hear another story, huh?" And then he sort of like goes into a prologue about kind of gives a little background in each and every one of the games, and also gives like a refresher on what happened in the previous games.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it was just a lore dump. They set up stuff that isn't even accurate, right? It's just like they've just changed the whole idea of like what the key is and stuff like that to the vault and all that jazz. Because they were talking about this like, oh, you're specifically born in this place, which makes you whatever it's what was it like? They were the Lilith. How she
Yeah.
the big yeah. Like what was that?
So they almost had it right. So Lilith is what's known as a siren,
Right.
and that wasn't even the word wasn't even said until the very last 5 minutes by Tanis. Every moment up to that, they were called Children of Iridia, which is just that's as far as I'm aware, and I'm 99% sure of it. That's literally never been said in any of the games at all.
What the siren?
No, Children of Iridia. So they're called
Oh,
sirens
right.
in the
Oh.
game.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Siren was said once in the entire movie. So Lilith is a siren, and I think she was born in Pandora. Anyway,
Mm.
so they got that bit right, but she wasn't like the thing is that it wasn't really explained very well because it made it sound like she was made by like her mum, because that's what they were saying for Tiny Tina anyway.
Yeah. Like genetically built kind of thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not how sirens are made. Like there's always 7 at one point in the universe, and there can never be more. There can never be less, unless you count Borderlands 3, where there's technically 8. But that's
Right.
obviously that we don't talk about Borderlands 3.
That's its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one knows really exactly how it happens. They are related to the Iridians, which were said in the prologue of the movie, and then never mentioned until the end. Near enough.
Yeah, and this all kind of builds up to one of my biggest points of the movie, where it's like you've got this established world and characters and lore, yet they just they're like, nah, screw that, we're just going to do our own thing. It's like, well, why even bother then? You know what I mean? Like, one, you're pissing off people that are fans of the games, like you, for example. Literally 2 minutes in, you're scoffing at the film. You're like, oh, like a freaking, instantly. You know what I mean? Throughout the whole film. So it's like you're pissing off people that are fans of the film. It's not good enough film to like attract people that aren't fans of the film. So it's given the whole name of Borderlands a bad rap now, because maybe they're like, yeah, screw, I'm not going to play the game now. Whereas like they could have, like, if it was a good film, people were like, oh, let's play the games, and there'd be a big resurgence for that. But Nah.
Just to actually prove that stuff kind of works, the Fallout show came out this year, and they managed to synergize it with a new update with the newer tech consoles, right? Like newer generation
Yeah.
consoles, and there was like
Very
a total
true.
boom in popularity. So
Mhm.
Very true. I'd even
Yeah.
argue Last of Us as well. I reckon Last of Us got a lot of like new players and stuff as well when that came out,
Mhm.
just because it was really like well reviewed. I know Robert didn't like it, but or didn't like it as much as other people at least.
Mhm.
Or was it
You
just Joel?
you can't just chuck in my hot takes without giving people a warning.
Well, you're muted, mate, so I don't even know if you're listening. So it's too
Back in your cage, Robert.
What, sorry?
Back in your cage.
Oh,
back to
sorry,
the
buddy,
dark
sorry.
corner whence you came.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean, I did read today, and I was just scrolling through my phone, through the news as you do, and I did see there was an article from Game Informer. I think it was either Game Informer or Game Rant, and they said that there's been an increase in the number of players playing Borderlands 3, which I just
Oh.
thought was really weird because
Been free everywhere the last month, I think. No,
oh yeah, that's true.
it was on
Actually,
PlayStation
right.
Plus free last month,
Yeah,
and it's like
right, okay,
I think it's on
right,
Epic Games Launcher free at the moment.
possibly, yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably
So maybe
why.
that maybe had something to
And I
do with
think
that
as
as
well,
well.
it came out on PSN, right? Or PS Plus.
I think so, possibly. I think it was last month.
But yeah, so like there's like I kind of want to get onto the cast now because for me the cast is like the biggest flaw almost for me. And again, I'm not even like aware of like the characters in the games, so I'm not even judging it based on that. It's just based on what the story's telling me doesn't add up with what I've been shown, you know? So for example, I think the biggest one for me is Kate Blanchett's Lilith, because you told me, Jay, that she's maybe 21 in the games.
Yeah.
Yet she's
In the first
freaking
game.
almost 60 in reality, so it's like automatically a piss take, you know? So
Yeah.
what were you gonna say though, sorry?
In the first game, she's 21.
Right, yeah. Which I would assume because like I'm assuming
Yeah,
it should all be accurate like that, right? Like she's not freaking 60 at
yeah.
any point, right?
No, I don't think
No.
so. I think the whole series takes place across like I don't know, 5, 10 years, something like that. I think.
Right.
Just a quick question. When is the movie set in the game universe? Like, is it set between one of the games, or is it just its own thing?
So to me, it sounds like, or sorry, it seemed to be like a weird perversion slash bastardization of all three games.
I would compare it to Uncharted, where they kind of just do their own thing, honestly. Right?
Mhm.
Like it's like it's following a storyline from the games, which to me they shouldn't have done that anyway, because that alienizes new viewers. But like, just stick to the freaking
Mhm.
script. Like, I'm not saying remake the game into a film, because obviously that's never gonna work, just because you spent like 20 plus hours on a game, whereas like a
Mhm.
movie only got like freaking 2 hours, 3 hours max, kind of thing. But yeah, no, definitely like just does its own thing. Sorry, just to continue my point on the cast. Like, so a main plot point is like Tanis, aka Jamie Lee Curtis' character, is supposed to be like the mother figure to Kate Blanchett, but I'm like, mate, she's like freaking 8 years older than her. Like, like what the hell, you know? And you go to the flashback, and she's clearly like 30 years older or something compared to like Kate Blanchett, which is like freaking 10 or something like that, you know? So it's like, what's the freaking timeline here, you know? I just think it would have been more appealing to new people if she was younger. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like a fun new young character. I'm not saying like get freaking Anya Taylor Joy or anything. She's kind of like oversaturated, but like somebody in that demographic who could like get away with being young. You know, like hip to the cool kids. You know, because like literally every other cast to me is kind of okay. Like obviously not like in comparison to the character they're supposed to be playing, because you're saying Roland, aka Kevin Hart, is supposed to be this like really tall military guy, right?
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
this freaking tiny lad. Which I think we both agreed he's probably the best character out of the bunch, or at least like the most
Yeah.
semi-accurate out of the bunch. Which is funny because he wasn't necessarily funny in the film. He didn't have that role. He was just like the tough guy, which is funny because it's usually like he is like quite Kevin Hart plays the comedy character. Jamie Lee Curtis didn't annoy me in this film, which she usually does in her films. So I don't know about you, because obviously you know the character. I don't. Tanis's
Um,
character.
I think she played Tannis well to a degree.
Right.
Tannis very clearly, and it is also stated through some in-game dialogue, that there is some sort of neurodivergence going on with her,
Right.
and I certainly picked that up with the way that she interacted. Like she was a bit, socially
Yeah.
awkward.
No. Yeah.
Wasn't able to pick up on like social cues and that. So I think
Mhm.
they did that well. But there is also like Tannis has a bit of charisma. She has a bit of that like the lack of social skills also makes her kind of like humorous, and
I see.
that's what Jamie Lee Curtis lacked. There was no like lovableness about it, if you know what I mean. It was just like
Well, yeah. Like all we learned about her is that she abandoned Lilith. Like,
yeah,
she's
which
supposed to be their
again
new mother
never
figure, and she's
happens
left her.
in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's one I don't know your opinion on, but for
Hmm.
me, I quite liked her. I kind of liked Tiny Tina. I thought she was alright. I don't know about you though, because obviously she's is probably very different. But
Mm,
she wasn't the worst thing in the film to me. If anything,
yeah.
she was the only piece of energy that kept me like
Mm,
engaged, So,
yeah.
but just because she's a fun character. But again, I don't know if compared to the games, she was accurate or not. I guess not, right? Is she not maybe a
Uh,
bit younger than that?
no, she's around about that
No.
age,
All
I
right,
think.
okay. Later
But
round,
in the game,
so.
she is completely batshit crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like she will happily kill anyone.
Well, that's what I liked about her first scene, and when you not her first scene, but the scene when Lilith finds her, where it was like, oh,
Mm,
she's just crazy. Yeah, it's like freaking can't trust this lass.
yeah.
But at the same time, like you feel bad for her because she's sympathetic because of the whole background and stuff.
Mm,
Which isn't part of the lore either, from what you told me. So like her whole
yeah.
lineage doesn't add up.
No. She isn't even in the first game. She doesn't
Right,
appear
right.
until number 2, where Atlas also isn't even a thing at all in Borderlands 2. They got wiped out pretty much at the end of Borderlands 1.
Right.
So, like, Tiny Tina would have had zero interaction with Atlas, as far as I'm aware.
I see.
And like, she has more things to do with Hyperion than
Yeah. Yeah.
than Atlas.
Which is like the sort of like business like overlords, right? Hyperion.
Well, all at the start where it said like, oh, there's all these like business conglomerates
Yeah.
and like companies, like every single gun manufacturer in the game is like they pretty much control they're the government pretty much.
Aye.
So Atlas, bit of history. So there was a corporation called DAL, which first had like control, quote unquote, over Pandora, and that was sort of touched on at the start, where they said that it was originally like a mining operation, and then the company left. That was DAL.
Hmm.
The city of Sanctuary is actually a massive mining ship, which also doesn't appear until Borderlands 2. And
Right.
then Atlas comes along in Borderlands 1 looking for the key. Or
And is
yeah,
Atlas a person or a
no, Atlas is a corporation.
yeah? And that's the
Uh,
issue. Is that in this
yeah,
film it's a person?
yeah,
So it's
Atlas is
like
a person, and it's
yeah.
weird because they were trying to make this Atlas guy Handsome Jack, which
I
does not
kind of
work.
thought that.
Like,
Yeah. I kind of
I
thought that.
don't think you could do Handsome Jack justice without having him animated and also
Right.
having the original voice actor in,
It's
because
tough. Yeah.
Damien Clark is like he just is Handsome Jack.
Yeah.
In my mind, you can't really get anyone else to portray him.
No, that's fair. But yeah. So like with the cast, right? Like they're all like. I mean, there's Jack Black in that. Honestly, I don't have much thoughts about Jack Black. I honestly didn't find any of the film funny. I might have chuckled maybe once. Jack Black, the
Hmm.
character, was just kind of annoying to me. I can't lie. Claptrap.
That's the whole point of Claptrap, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I can. Yeah, I assumed. But like, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't get that sort of. They were clearly going for that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe with like, oh, the misfit family who are like getting together and like, oh, they're gonna be like friends forever and brothers and sisters and stuff. But I just didn't get that at all. Like they obviously wanted that because that was the whole thing of like Lilith, especially
Yeah.
Tina. You know, they're clearly trying to set that sort of dynamic up, but I just didn't buy it. You know. Also, for the other boys, Aiden Versio is in this film from Battlefront 2. She probably has the best death in the film, honestly. So it's fucking just,
She's the only death in the film.
I guess, yeah. But like,
Really?
it got me. It got me. Like, yeah, I guess. But no, yeah. As soon as she popped up, I was like, "Gee, that's Aiden. You main her in Battlefront." but yeah. So it's like, on paper, this should be banging. You know what I mean? Like, look at the names we've got attached to this. You know what I mean? Like, freaking. Because I think my best comparison maybe be Jumanji, not just because of Kevin Hart, but just well, I guess Kevin Hart and Jack Black are in that as well. So maybe that's where my comparison's coming from. But just like that sort of, because with Guardians, not with Guardians, with Jumanji, you've got like Karen Gillan, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black. You don't really think those four would work together well on paper, but they do in the film. Whereas these guys, you would, I don't know, like as soon as you see Kevin Hart and Kate Blanchett, you're kind of like, this can't work. Surely not. You know what I mean? Like, geez, like
Yeah.
you can maybe get away with Kevin Hart and Jamie Lee because she's kind of weird as well. Like funny in that way. I meant. Whereas Kate Blanchett's more of like a distinguished actor. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows her as that. Like she's like this like big Hollywood actress, Oscar-worthy films. Like always. You know what I mean? Like Benjamin Button, bro. That's like one of my favorite films of hers. So yeah, so it's like they had everything kind of going for it, but it just didn't come together at all. You know what? The soundtrack was decent. I'll give them that. But that's a hard thing to screw up. There's some banging songs in there. I would have preferred more, but I suppose it would have just been Guardians if they went that far. Instead or something like that. But yeah. So was there any redeeming qualities for you though, Jay? Because obviously I feel like we're both very negative on it, but was there any positives that stuck out for you?
Not really, honestly.
No.
Like, it just wasn't a good film.
Yeah.
I mean,
As well, just
for-
from a filmmaking, because obviously a lot of it, I guess the discussion so far has been in comparison to the game, but even if you
Yes.
separated that out, what doesn't work just on a filmmaking level?
Well, I think they don't set things up well at all, and things just keep happening. There's no like breathing space. It's just like it's just back to back to back stuff happening. I'm like I don't even know what I'm watching. You know what I mean? Like you've had that one like exposition dump at the start, and like Black Panther. Obviously, Black Panther did it better, but it was kind of like that, where it's like, oh, here's the whole lore. But stuff just keeps happening, and things get revealed, and it's just like, is this supposed to be important? Like I don't know. Like it just feels like they're just talking. Yeah, I don't think the chemistry was that good either. Like the only chemistry I did like was maybe Jack Black and Tiny Tina. Not Jack Black, Kevin Hart and Tiny Tina. Like I think they two had some nice back and forward. But I actually bought them as like being pals. Whereas everyone else, I'm like, you're not friends, man. You're just here for you're here for a payday. You know what I mean? Like you know. In fact, no, Jay. There was one plus that we both liked. There was one.
was a
There
certain
is.
individual that I clocked.
Yeah, I can't believe you. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, but I didn't think you would have caught on like that. But yeah, a little Jessica Negri, if anyone knows who she is, you know why. You know why that's a plus. Robert's going to Google that right now.
I have no idea who she is.
I dare you to Google her. I dare you.
What's her name?
Jessica Negri, I think. Something.
NIGR.
Yeah. Bobby Lee had a little cameo. Freaking somehow.
Was
but yeah,
sure.
yeah. As a film,
Mm.
it doesn't let you breathe. It doesn't let you. Don't really learn about much of the characters. It is really Lilith and Tiny Tina's movie. Like they're the only two you really learn about in the film. Whereas everyone else is kind of just there to kind of be a background character, kind of side character to feed them in. You know.
Yeah. I noticed how neither of us have said anything about Creed. Because he just plays
the
such a
psycho.
minor role. Yeah. So you didn't even know his name.
Like he did his bit. You know what I mean? Like he was sort of like Groot role, where it's like just the voiceless like tank essentially. Yeah, honestly, I forget he's like part of the team. Honestly, but Yeah.
Mhm.
Even though he's there the whole film, but like he's just not like important.
Yeah. He's
You
he's
know?
just there. He's just there to save Tina and Claptrap when they fall over.
Yeah, but like, and again, like they compare to like Guardians, because I think that's just the perfect movie for like a team up film. The first one, especially, I'm compared to. Every character has a role, and every character has that one moment in the film that's like, oh, that's why we love you. So, like, for example, like when Groot sacrifices himself, that's like it's a big moment for Groot. You know, when Gamora fights her sister and like refuses to work with her and stuff. Obviously, Star-Lord has his whole thing. Everyone's got their moment in this film. They're just they're just freaking filler, man. It's just like honestly, if this was a game, I would skip the cutscenes. you know,
Yep.
and that means a lot. That means a lot to me. I'll
Mm.
give my one positive, but it's going to lead into a negative, so it's not really a positive. I think the set design was actually pretty decent because a lot, obviously there was CGI, but for the most part, it looked legit. Like it looked like real sets and stuff like that. So I'm honestly gonna give him a plus for that. Like the weapon designs were kind of cool as well. Some of them look like Nerf guns, but some of them look cool. Like I like the one that had like the rotator. I think it was
Yeah.
Lilith's character. Like,
It's
that's cool.
that's I think it's a bandit pistol. I
Right.
think.
So yeah, like
Yeah.
some of that stuff was good. I think some of the outfits were kind of like stuck out in a bad way, where it was like, oh, that looks very like
Mm.
fake kind of thing. Especially
they're
like
pretty
the
accurate.
psycho masks for me. They look
Was it like cosplay? Like
it felt like cosplay. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. It did, especially like Katie Blanchett's character for me. It's just like you're just cosplaying as Lilith. Again, I don't even know the Liv character from the game, but it just feels off, you know. But what was going to lead into my sort of negative part of that was I think the film should have been animated. Honestly, it's just like because the Borderlands is known for its unique sort of art style. So I'm like, why not go that route? Why not like not copy Spider Verse because obviously it's not the same art style, but like take advantage of that market of like, oh, here's like animated films are actually like for adults almost. Like obviously Spider Verse is for kids too, but like a lot of adults are loving that. Like Ryan even says that maybe his favorite Spider Man film. You know, like we were freaking like 19 when that came out. You know, so it's like it's not like we have nostalgia for that. You know, we have nostalgia for like Toby and Andrew, for example, but not that. So like it means a lot when you say like, oh, that's my favorite. So I'm confused why they didn't go that route because, and again, that kind of goes into another thing where it's like, who's this film marketed for? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it's not marketed for fans. It's not. Like you know what I mean? Like you weren't even going to see the film because you're like, nah, this looks ass. You know?
Yeah. I had the girl boss gatekeep and gaslight my way onto the podcast by doing that.
And to be fair, that's a
Like-
good
like
point.
what-
It's you are like the biggest Borderlands fan we know anyway, and it's like this film realistically should be the thing. You should be the person in the seat wanting to go see it, but the trailer was dreadful.
Yep.
And I think everyone recognized the trailer was fucking dreadful because it must have been disliked to hell. But it's nice to see a trailer. It's nice to see the world basically band together against a trailer and a shit film, and then go to the cinema and find out it is actually shit. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it was I don't know if you remember when Monster Hunter came out, Brandon. My reaction to that.
Yeah.
I
It's
do.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's also because you had that actress you don't like in it as well, though. I remember her name
Mila Jokovic, something like that.
from Resident Evil. Yeah.
Jovovich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. But like,
Yeah.
why is this film like the games are like 18 rated, right? They're adult games. Why is this a 12? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, apparently it wasn't 18, and then they changed it. I don't know if that's maybe because they thought, this movie isn't actually that good. We should maybe try and,
yeah.
make it so we can get more people coming in.
Which like I get, but it's like it's so known for its sort of like harsh jokes and like sort of brutality and stuff like that. They can't really. There was no like brutal deaths in this film at all. It was just people getting shot. You know, from what I remember anyway.
They
so
had
it's like
that.
I think it's still further to the point of who's this for. Is this film come out too late?
I don't know. Yeah, because I think I think Jay might be able to agree with this, where it's like Borderlands isn't as popular as it was in like 2012 or whatever it was.
Mm.
Like two is regarded as the most popular and favorite, right? So I feel like that's
Yeah.
where the hype for the franchise came, and then 3 came out. People didn't like 3. I can't remember if the pre-sequel was liked or not.
Pre-sequel was hated to begin with, and now everyone loves it,
Right,
which
I
I
see.
agree.
So it's like, yeah, they kind of like it's just such a weird like pick where it's like, oh yeah, let's do Borderlands. It's like it feels like it's not even like at its peak compared to like it makes sense why you pick like a Mario or Sonic. Even Uncharted's a bit of a stretch for me because Uncharted like came out like in 2016, the last game. So it's like it's weird why they pick like a game that's not relevant, you know. So it's kind of the same with this, where it's like I don't. Yeah, it's like who's it for? Because like everyone that's played the games are essentially adults. Obviously, you would have like the kids at every like section as well that like play, obviously, but like it's an adults game, and it's like, well, why is it a freaking 12? You know, why is it designed for kids in this film? It's just you've completely neglected your target audience. You know, I feel like the same thing happened with Uncharted, but like at the same time, it clearly didn't because I'm looking at the box office and Borderlands only made 8 million in its opening weekend. That is absolutely shocking. Whereas Uncharted, um, and like the thing is, like they both have like stacked casts. You know what I mean? Like Uncharted has like Tom Holland and freaking Mark Wahlberg. So it's like they both have like the names to level them up. You know, so what was it? The opening for Uncharted was 44 million. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that grew to 400 million. So they're getting a sequel. I think that was confirmed this past week as well. So it's like, well, yeah, you hate them, but like that's what I mean though. But this is like so different though, like because nobody's even interested in seeing this film. So,
Yeah.
like the Borderlands. So it's like they're kind of screwed. Like they're not going to get a sequel. The games might suffer from this as well because that kind of has
The games have.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 games have already suffered from their own
Well,
failings.
At least the games aren't going to. I think at least the games aren't going to benefit from a new audience brought in by the films.
It's true. Because worst case scenario, they made a sequel to one of their games and it was like more like the film. You know, it's like, oh no, like
So
then you turn off the game fans.
is basically everything working against this film. What's the best change you can make for the least amount of money to this film to make it passable then?
For me, it's Kate Blanchett. She completely takes me out the film, and not that she's bad. It's just that she doesn't fit the role of like the character it's supposed to be. You know, because she's constantly complaining about like, oh, I'm too old for this and stuff, and like Jay's like, she's supposed to be 20. like what are you talking about? You know, it just again, it's like it's clearly designed for the younger audience. Why you got Kate Blanchett as the main character? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. Like get like I'm not saying you do this, but like get like a freaking Daisy Ridley or something who's like kind of popular. I'm not saying do that, but like someone like that who's like a big name that's like relevant. Some people like like do something like that. Don't get freaking older actress. You know what I mean? That you're freaking grand league. It's like that for me that's the big change I would make. Like if I had one thing to change, it'd be that. But that's only because she's the main character, and it's like that's the person you're kind of experiencing the film through her eyes essentially. So I can't obviously I'm like a freaking I was going am I middle aged? I don't know. I'm a 25-year-old male.
You're
So
not
obviously
middle-aged.
I'm not gonna relate to Kate Blanchett
You're
like
quarter me.
directly. But like if you cast someone that was my age, which is who she's supposed to be, maybe I would have like kind of enjoyed the film a little bit more. Like I liked her character more, like understood her character more, because she just has like mummy issues the whole film. So it's like, yeah, but you look too old. so it's
Do you think this comes back to the rage rating as well? Do you think it's strange that, like you say, they're trying to appeal to a younger audience, but they're using actors that young audience aren't even going to recognize, really?
yeah, because there's only really Kevin Hart and maybe the
That's
girl, but like she's not even in like people would recognize her, but she's not like
She's
well
not
known.
putting people
You
in
know what I
seats,
mean?
though.
She's not a well known name. You just be like, oh, she was in Ahsoka or something like that. Like
She's not in Barbie as well.
she was in Barbie and Avengers as well. So she's been in big names, but like nobody remembers her. Like she's not the standard of that film.
Who's she in Avengers?
She's
Like
young
Gamora.
Gamora.
Is she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
she's been in big stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like I get it. But honestly, Kevin Hart's probably and Jack Black, but like Jack Black's like a voice actor.
If you're
so
thinking
it's-
about the demographic from like 12-year-olds to 18-year-olds, the ones that would have been singled out from buying tickets if it was rated 18 or
Yeah,
R-rated, why is that not reflected in the cast, I guess? Like, why is, like, because the thing is, if you bring it down from an 18 to 12, you would assume they'd put someone appealing to a 12-year-old in the film, right? Or a 15-year-old, right?
yeah.
To
Oh,
get the
sure.
benefit of that. Whereas it seems like they just haven't done that. And that might, I don't know the background to this film, it might come down to what Jay was saying, where it was originally aimed to be higher, and then it was put down like after the casting and stuff like that, but
Right.
it just seems an odd choice.
Freaking Eli Roth as well. Sort of random.
Yeah.
Speaking of
to
Eli
attach this.
What else
Um,
did he do?
he's done like some horror films and stuff like that.
I can't
That's his
recognize
main-
his name.
That's his main thing.
Yeah.
Um, Green Inferno. Have you seen that film? That's me and Robert watched that once.
We watched 10 minutes of it and then.
No,
and then-
we watched like the first kill and we're like, nah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's essentially like a tribal cannibalism film. So it's like that's what I mean. Like all
yeah.
of his films are very like horror-esque. So it's like, why is he getting Borderlands? It's like so random. As well as like making it a kids film, it's clearly not his vibe. So like up the age rating. So yeah, but like as Ryan said, what would you sort of like if you could make one change? What would that be to make it like slightly more watchable? I know there's like so many flaws, but
My change would be to not make the movie.
you know what? That's fair, and it
Just,
seems like a lot of other people
just
agree
leave
because
it.
on IMDb it's got a 4.4 out of 10. So
4.4.
Just leave the IP alone because it's struggling enough as it is.
yeah, like it makes me worry
A
because
horrible
like
movie.
you always like fantasize like, oh, I want my like my video game to be a movie. Like for me, like Mass Effect's always been in the runs for a film. Like God of War, bloody Ghost of Tsushima, like all these films are being made. But it's like, yeah, but what are they going to freaking look like? Because a lot of the stuff we've seen recently is like either really good or freaking god awful. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's almost no in between. Because I think we all agree, like we all like freaking Sonic, we all like Mario.
Dude, Sonic, for me, Sonic's the best video game movies that have came out. I don't think there's a better one. Mario's
right.
really good, but Sonic, I love it. Like I rewatch that all the time. I love the Sonic movies.
Yeah, and like Detective Pikachu did really well, and like I think Uncharted's a bit of a mixed bag because like obviously some people do like it. I like it. I'm not gonna say it's good. I just enjoy the film. Obviously it could have been better. To get Nathan Fillion on it, and it's like already like a better film.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
you know, but like because like, that's just like you know, especially when he made his own fan film. It's like, well, just do that because it was perfect. But yes, I'm kind of worried for game films going forward. Obviously, it's different studios because obviously you got the Sony studios making the God of War and Ghost of Tsushima film, and they're very like narrative-based games. So
I thought God of War
maybe they might do better. Is it a series?
I think it is supposed to be a series.
Well, maybe it's got a better chance then because the series seems to be doing better because Last of Us and Fallout's been getting really good reviews. So
That is
yeah.
something I dread to see the casting of.
what, Kratos?
Yeah,
It'll be
because
Jason
I
Momoa, man, or Vin
guarantee
Diesel.
it would either be Jason Momoa, The Rock, or Dave Bautista.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah,
should
Oh,
John
John
Cena.
They're the only big, like, non-Caucasian, like,
I honestly
male actors.
Sorry, Jay. I honestly think when it comes to video games and movies, or shows and stuff like that, they should really be hiring unknown people because like for example Last of Us. I have a lot of issues with Last of Us. Of like, I love Pedro Pascal, but I don't love him as Joel. But because he doesn't feel like Joel. But I feel like they could have got someone who was Joel. But I feel like he was hired for like people to watch the show, right?
But
But
would
with
you
Fallout-
argue that it was successful though because of that? Because
No,
it was
no.
a successful show, you know.
Well, that's the thing, because like Fallout, I know that they brought I forget his name, but he was like the guy who was originally who was the original character in Dune, in like the 19 whatever it was. Like they brought him back, and I know there's a lot of other like really famous actors, but like I personally didn't know anyone bar him and the Hannah Montana dude going into Fallout, and I really enjoyed it because like I personally haven't seen them in much, even though I know their name. I was like, oh, this is kind of refreshing because it's one or two people that I know, but even the rest of the cast, and they only have like so many projects in their hands, so they're still quite fresh, right? Like they're not like
So why is it different for video games versus like comic movies then? Like why is it important for video games not to have a stat cast, whereas like comic movies it's fine to have known names playing the characters?
Well, I don't know because like I personally I think if you like Shang-Chi, right, the main boy, he that was his first ever film,
Yeah.
and then Camilla, Miss Marvel, like that was her first film as well, and like those have a different feel and vibe to them, but like the original Phase 1 and Phase 2, I think it's different because it's like, oh, how can we get people interested in these films? And like Robert Downey Jr., who had a career behind him, and then they brought him back, and then it's like, oh, people who were fans of him when they were younger, because I know he had been out for a wee bit. It's bringing back that kind of generation coming in, and I think a lot of people are are so I think when it comes to superheroes, they're actually hiring a lot of people that are looking like the characters instead of what you're saying in Borderlands. And I know my hot take with Pedro Pascal. Um, like I don't think he looks or sounds anything or acts anything like Joel. So like, but when you watch the Batmans with Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson, it's different versions, and you have so many different versions of comics, so you kind of get away with it a bit more because it's like, oh, we're going for this kind of style or we're going for that kind of style. So I think comics are a bit harder to kind of
But
be
my
like,
main point's not like, oh, a different version of the character. It's more just like, why is it okay for like hero movies, like for example, like Robert Pattinson Batman? Like you could have got an unknown, but we were all gassed when Robert Pattinson was cast. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're like, oh,
yeah,
he's gonna be
yeah,
great. You know, and like Zoe Kravitz, she's a big actress. You know, and then like freaking Andy Serkis, like it's just a stat cast throughout. Jeffrey Wright, you know, so it's like, why are we not complaining about that? But when we look at Borderlands and stuff, we're like, oh no, we don't like that. Like, why is it different?
Batman's probably a harder argument to make, I think, because the problem is those are roles that people like. I guess Robert did have a point before where it's Batman is more of a role, and Alfred is a role that people already understand. It's already an established thing, and you're seeing a variation of it by a new actor. So obviously Andy Serkis was a bit younger, Robert Pattinson's a bit darker. Whereas the Borderlands ones and video game characters in general tend not to be established characters. This tends to be the first go around. So you maybe do want something more faithful,
Yeah.
just to establish some sort of trend for that character. Then you can break it later on when it becomes like in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Whereas like Superman or Batman or even Iron Man now, it's like, well, obviously Iron Man's tied so much to Robert Downey Jr., but like Spider-Man and stuff like that, these characters are in the zeitgeist and have been for a long time, so you can see variation in them, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation because I can see both sides. It feels like there's always like a different example that kind of cancels out every argument. You know what I mean? Because like you're saying, you're not a fan of Pedro Pascal. I only watched the first episode, so I can't even like judge the whole thing. Like people that didn't watch the game or play the game were like totally fine with it. You know what I mean? And I didn't hear
yeah,
many other people complain about Pedro Pascal. Because like our friend like Stuart and stuff, he loved the show. Our other friends like really like the show as well. But obviously like you've got something to compare it to. But like I feel like everyone had that complaint with pretty much any superhero film when they first came out. Like think of like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Everyone everyone hated that when it first got announced.
Same with
You
Robert
know?
Patterson, but me,
And Robert Patterson.
I supported him.
Yeah, so it's like, but then like, mate, Hugh Jackman's the only guy to play Wolverine. Like he's been playing him
Yeah,
for like 25
yeah.
years, and he's the most
Yep.
beloved, one of the most beloved superheroes ever. So it's like, time just healed that. You know what I mean? Like he proved to people, the haters, that he is Wolverine, but also to the young people, that's all they've had. So it's like, so it is complicated. But I do like this competition because there's just so many like weaves to it. So there's so many.
Yeah,
so many points,
I guess there isn't like a definitive answer, is it? Is there? 'Cause it's
If you were
like,
to ask me, I think it's important to have at least one big actor just to help advertise the film, because like the name like Uncharted, for example, does people know who that is, except people that are fans of the game. You know what I mean? And that's not a lot of the viewers that are going to come see the film. So you do need, like, I'm not saying you Tom Holland exactly, but you do need a name like that or a Mark Wahlberg to kind of help. The thing I don't like is when the whole cast is that. That then puts me off, like a Borderlands, where it's like every name is a star, like a plus actor, or whatever, celebrity.
And
You
I'm
know?
not sure there's a better example of this than like 90s Disney versus now, where
Mm.
this kind of started with Aladdin, where Robin Williams was the selling point, even though he
Yeah.
didn't want it to be. But like you say, the rest of the cast is relatively unknown,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your one big hitter that can be the advertisement, and then the Disney
Yeah.
films tend to follow that in the 90s.
And then you get to like Lion King, which you got like James Earl Jones and like freaking Mr. Bean, like
Even when you get to later things like Mulan, you've got your Mushu is your Eddie Murphy, but everyone
Jackie
else
Chan.
is relatively unknown. Well,
in the
Was he-
Japanese version, in the Chinese version, sorry.
oh,
Yeah. He
So-
voices
then I guess DreamWorks kind of might have taken that too far with like your Shreks and your Kung Fu Pandas, where there is like an all-star cast, right?
but kids don't know who they are though. You know what I mean? Like we're not watching that as kids being like, oh, that's Michael Myers. Like that just doesn't clock it. It's just Shrek for us.
Was Mike Myers?
Mike Myers, sorry.
Yeah, I suppose that
Because
maybe works for kids' films better than it works for like a
Yeah.
more mature audience then.
Same with like
Yeah.
like Ice Age. Like adults don't know those names, but kids are like, who's that? We don't know who freaking.
Like you say, it definitely gets to a point where you start to think all these famous people in a room is one, just bloating the budget, so this film is just unlikely
true.
to get something,
Yeah.
and two, it's not going to create not necessarily going to create good chemistry between them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you say, you only felt chemistry between like two of the characters, so what's the point in casting six like big stars if no one can gel with any of them?
So, as like another, like as a sort of final point or like comparison, because we've been comparing Borderlands to this film the whole time. Guardians, at the time, they're all pretty big actors as well. You know what I mean? Like Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper. Chris Pratt wasn't as big as he is now, but like he was still like he was on that show, right? Parks and Rec, was it?
Yeah.
So it's like they were all pretty big actors. So why do they get away with it? And they were pretty unknown characters, just like Borderlands, right? So it's like, why does that work? And why does
It could just be that it's a completely new genre for almost all of them, apart from Vin
Fair.
Diesel, arguably. Is that Chris Pratt, like you say, he is in Parks and Rec, but he's like a tubby, like,
right?
you know what I mean? He's just like
Yeah.
a bit of a loser, but like a lovable loser. But then you get to Quill, and you get to that the prison scene, and he's like shredded, you know what I mean?
Mm.
He's a totally different character. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone necessarily went to see Guardians because of Chris Pratt, though.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Obviously, the Marvel films tend to be an exception anyway, because Marvel back then was just its own thing, and people would go to see a Marvel film regardless.
Yeah.
But so maybe they have a luxury that other studios don't at that time, where they
The
can just cast.
Guardians just like blew people's minds, so people kept watching it, and just the word of it brought people in. Like I kind of want to look up the opening weekend for it, compared to the overall. So it opened up on 94 million, which is like pretty good, but like for Marvel's sake, it's not like the best. And then it grew to like 700 million, so it's like that legs. That's because people just kept talking about like how good Guardians, So by the time you get the sequel, it's just freaking billion, it's 4 billion at it, because it's popular now. So No, it is interesting. It is, but obviously the state of the film would say a lot as well. Like maybe if Borderlands was a really good film, we'd have a different conversation. Where it's like, oh no, the cast was perfect or whatever.
And that's the thing, is at the end of the day, Guardians was a passion project of James Gunn, who went to Kevin Feige and said, "Can I make this?" And he went, "Yes, here's some money," essentially. Whereas Borderlands came out of, this thing makes money, let's try and make some money.
Yeah.
Probably. Or at least
Yeah.
this version of the film is that, I guess.
Would you agree with what we've said, Jay, or are we just all talking out our asses?
No, I do agree with everything. I think because I'm not a massive movie nut, I'm sort of coming from I don't know. I suppose I'm more general public at this point.
But that's a good
Uh,
demographic to judge though, because you're the type of people they're trying to get in seats. You know, we're
Yeah,
gonna see
well,
everything, good or
yeah,
bad. You know.
yeah, like that's. I'm trying to. You interrupt me, Brandon.
Oh, sorry.
God.
Yeah, sorry. I just
God,
making your point. You know.
guest, man.
I'll sip
Yeah,
my drink.
you drink your whatever you're drinking. Like as a general populace, no name individual gear in a massive massive machine. Like I'm just getting fed up of it. I'm just getting fed up of like big names, like playing it's cinema is just dominated by a few big names at the moment. And it's just like I'm getting fed up of seeing the same faces over and over, pretty much. That's all it is for me. And it's just like can we see some new faces? Like how are new actors supposed to pop up um in this day and age? Because like I mean fucking The Rock is in literally everything. Or has been in everything. The last wee while.
Till the day we die, he'll be in everything.
Till the day we die, yep.
Can I ask, is it's along the same lines as what you're talking about, but it would probably just be like a little side tangent, is, does this feel like something you haven't seen before? Because that seems like kind of the point, is that Borderlands is kind of a unique world. Obviously, you're saying a unique art style earlier, Brandon. Maybe it would have been better in animation, but even getting rid of all that, Guardians had a flair, and all three films have it. And it's distinct from anything else in the MCU. Does this have any distinct flair from any other Misfit team-up?
Nah.
It's generic sci-fi, like wasteland. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's
It's
kind of like a
weird
merge
mix of-
between Guardians and like Mad Max almost. But it just doesn't.
I was gonna say
hit
a bit
those
Indiana
eyes.
Jones thrown in there as
Or
well.
Indiana Jones, yeah, for like the adventure aspect.
But
of it, yeah.
like you're saying, Jade, does it just feel like a kind of plug-and-play film? Like, oh, here's a script, this person will do, rather than, oh, who's actually going to fit the character?
I mean, like when I remember, I don't know if Brandon heard me or not when we finished the cinema, and the credits were rolling, and it came to the casting like director, and I was just like, "That's her fucking fault." I pointed right at the screen, and I was like, "It's her."
To be
Get her-
fair, there were
fire
people
her.
that left the screen during our show. People did leave.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Yeah, people like left
I
during
didn't-
the film.
I'll be honest, I didn't want to leave because I wanted to see how worse it can get.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like it was actually quite enjoyable to see them just it wasn't even a butchering. Like they just had their way with the original source, like the source material.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my poor baby just got taken away from me in front of me and then replaced with a Frankenstein, pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's a shame, but
Mm.
no, it's been a good conversation. I don't know if there's anything else we want to bring up before we wrap up. I think I've made up my point.
Oh, I think I didn't mind the fight scenes.
All
I
right.
didn't mind them. I thought they were okay.
Yeah.
Could have been a bit more violent, like what you were saying earlier. But there was a nitpick that I had after I dropped you off. And I was like, I was just thinking to myself, like, and it was weird because the whole nuance of the movie is that you don't want to like have a prolonged fight scene with a bunch of people. Like you want to just if there's like a horde of enemies in front of you, you want to just kill each one in one hit, pretty much. Whereas in the games, everyone has a shield. Like you can take like maybe 4 or 5 bullets before you actually get hit with flesh.
Mm.
And it was like no one had shields except the last guy, and then they made the shields seem like this thing that make you invulnerable,
Yeah.
like to any and all like attacks. I would have liked to see a bit more of like the actual like mechanical stuff from the game in the movies. Like,
Mhm.
for example, I was telling you this on the way home as well. It was like Roland's entire skill, like his entire gameplay, is around throwing down a turret and then that just mows people down.
Yeah.
Lilith's ability isn't even really teleporting. She just kind of goes invisible and then runs really quickly and then reappears.
Mhm.
And then also Krieg uses guns. I don't know why they just gave him the axe and then it was just like, yeah, there you go. Never
I
used
guess
guns.
like your point is like no one felt unique in the fighting scenes. They were just all
Yeah, everyone
fulfilling
was
the
just
same
man with
role.
gun.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Whereas again, compared to Guardians, everyone's got their own role in the fight. You know, everyone's got their own little like signature move or something, or weapon or something, which makes them all stand out in their own bit. You know, the only one for me that stood out weapon wise was Tina because she was just like the bomb thrower. You know, so it's like
Yeah.
all right, the child with the freaking explosives. You know?
Yeah, which was accurate to the games.
Yeah. Whereas
Because
everyone else is just
all
sort
of
of
her,
gunslinging. So
yeah, and her bombs in the game are teddy bears. Like she straps missiles to them.
yeah, I like that.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, but I think I've kind of run out of energy.
So
for-
Robert Ryan, are you going to see the film?
I no. I might see if it comes onto like Netflix or something. I'll definitely give it a watch just to see, but I don't think I'm going to see it in the cinemas. I just think
I
that's
wouldn't
like
waste your time.
that's just that's just like I'd rather sit and draw and watch it than
yeah, fair.
than sit in a yeah.
For sure.
And
Ryan?
for me, the trailer just made this film completely dead on arrival. The trailer was so bad for this film that I had exactly zero interest in seeing it the second that trailer stopped playing. And every time I saw the trailer, it made me want to see it less. And then when the film came out and I started to hear bad reviews, I was totally vindicated in the fact that they're not getting my 10 quid. So, there you go. I
There you
am
go.
not watching this film, and I doubt I'll even watch it if it's even if it's free, even if I'm already paying for Netflix and it comes on, quote unquote free. I just can't see myself watching this at all. Like
Yeah.
even without your reviews, which have just obviously like cemented it, I just had zero interest in watching it. And like I've never played Borderlands, really. But I play a lot of video games, so even it's like tangential to like my interests, you know? It would be a nice way to get into something where maybe I don't have to invest a few hours into the game. I can invest a couple hours into the film and go, "Oh, I do like this world actually. Maybe I will give the game a go." That's not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the only way I'm going to get into this series is if I like actually start playing the games now. So,
Mhm.
why wouldn't I just go play the games?
Sure.
Yep, that is the one takeaway. That is the one takeaway I was going to say is that if you want to get into or if you want to experience Borderlands, play 1, the pre-sequel, and 2, and that's all you need, pretty much. And that'll do about 50 times better than the movie did. Just playing those 3 games, and also
Yeah.
Tales. Tales is very good actually as well.
Oh yeah, Telltale one, sick. The first
Yeah,
one anyway.
Tales.
Well,
Only the first one. Don't play the second one.
Yeah, the first one. That's my favorite Telltale's game.
I might even be on the same page. And again, we're not even fans of the series, so it's like
Yeah, man.
that says a lot, you know.
Like I'm picking that over Walking Dead, and Walking Dead had like 4 seasons, and they were all amazing. And I still think the 1 season of Borderlands is better.
Because the Telltale was all new characters essentially on the main team, so it's like that would have been maybe a good idea for this film, maybe where it's like it's not your main characters, but maybe they have like big cameos or like tie-ins or something.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
that could have been.
Brick and Mordecai appear.
All right.
Brick and Mordecai they're major players in the first 2 games and the
Yeah.
third game as well.
I see.
Um,
But yeah, so that's our take on Borderlands. So
Yeah.
don't watch it.
Yep. Yep.
So what would you guys rate it out of 10 then?
I'd honestly
3.
give it like, I was literally going to say that, yeah, 3. I said 4 the other night, but after thinking about it, I'm like, because compared to other films that I've seen, it's like, nah, it's like actually worse. I'm not saying it's Madam Web bad, because like Madam Web literally had nothing going for it. At least this had some okay things, but like okay is like an overstatement for some things, so it's like,
Right, okay.
you know.
To-
But
to-
yeah,
to
I'm
put it
sitting
into
on that.
perspective, to put it into perspective of how little I enjoyed the film, I went home, booted up Borderlands 2, sat and looked at the main screen, and then let the intro like movie play, and I had an infinite amount more time enjoying that than I did watching that fucking hour and a half movie.
Right.
But thanks for coming, Jay. It's been nice having some fresh takes.
Yep. And now,
Right.
you know, if the audience liked this review, well, you're on your last legs, Robert and Brandon, because you're on your last
No.
strike. Because now we've got Jay, so we've got a replacement for you if you start pissing me
Yeah.
off. So,
If,
and
if,
also,
they, if they make a sequel, you can
Yeah.
get me back on.
and if the algorithm speaks, if this review does really well and people like Jay, it's a trend. So one of you will be getting kicked off. It will be like
Oh,
gladiators.
Oh,
You'll be
All I'm
fighting for
saying
the top
is, all I'm
spot.
saying is, I was in the Accolade episode and that did banging, so I'm.
I was in it for 2 minutes. I was in
Nah,
it
they
for
weren't
2
here.
minutes.
They weren't there for you. They weren't there for any of us, to be fair. They were there for
the
the
clickbait.
yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
happy days.
Adios.
well, yep. And that was our episode on Borderlands. And check in every week for our weekly episodes, our film diary. So every Sunday, check back here. Thanks for watching. Bang. Bang, bang.